Hello, everyone. Hey, so I hope everyone had a great week and we're all back together. And so let's just start week 7. That's exciting. With prayer. So just relax wherever you're at and shut your outer eyes if you feel like that might allow you to find that inner divine being that is always present, that is a part of you, that is as you. And we know divine source allows us to live in a world of abundance, of health, of wholeness, of joy, enrichment, fulfilling our purpose of just expressing the divine that we are, expressing our oneness with universe and with each other. Feeling the love of Spirit right now as we sit together. Feeling the love of each other as we send out blessings to one another. Knowing that through this class, divine wisdom is being unfolded. The divine wisdom that you always hold, and we are manifesting it and bringing it and expressing it into the human world, into matter, as we learn and grow individually, so that we, as ministers, can grow and unfold and express the divine of who we are, helping others express their divinity. And so we say thank you. Thank you for knowing the truth of who we are and knowing the truth of one another. And we claim it. We claim our divine purpose. And so it is. Amen. And yes. Okay, another week. And so we're continuing on the book, Teach Us to Pray. And the first chapter I wanted to talk about was spiritual soul therapy. And one of the paragraphs I found interesting was, metaphysicians find that words that express thanks, gratitude, and praise release latent energies of mind and spirit, and the effects of their use follow so quickly that they can almost be identified with the originating words. And the following paragraph says, "Let your words of praise and blessing be to spirit, and the increase will even be greater than it has been when addressed to man. The resource of spirits are beyond our highest flights of imagination. You can praise a weak body into strength, a fearful heart into peace and trust, shattered nerves into poise and power, a failing business into prosperity and success, want and insufficiency into supply and support." So where we praise, where we are grateful for, where we look into the best of it, then that allows us to have the divine spirit manifest and affirm our prayers. And what we're doing again instead of manifesting, maybe just unfolding our divine wholeness and our divine health. So whatever that we give praise and blessings to unfolds even more and more greater blessings to us. Okay. And so one of the questions that I'm posing to you as you read through this chapter is, how would you pray differently for someone, knowing that what we are grateful for or what we are praising unfolds and expresses more blessings and more of the affirmative prayer that we're manifesting. And so that's just something to take a look at as you read this chapter. Okay? And again, if you guys have any questions, please you can reach out to me, email me, text me, whatever, and let me help you. Because sometimes I have a thought in my head, and I know sometimes it's hard to communicate in writing. Okay. So the next chapter we're reading is Casting Out Fear. Fear. Casting out fear. I think that is what we're doing when we're praying oftentimes, unless it's a prayer for just being thankful. But usually when we have some kind of an obstacle or something that we're trying to unearth, trying to manifest, we might sometimes have a fear around it. And in the chapter, I thought this was really interesting, and I actually had not seen this before. The majority of people will resent the statement that fear is a habit. But close observation proves to anyone that her fears are governed by repeated thoughts, words, and experiences. All fears rest upon thoughts, and if the thought foundation can be broken up, the fear will vanish. I played around with the he, she. I think we need more she's in the book. But so fear. I never thought about fear as a habit, but it really resonated with me that my fears and the way I'm thinking when I think in a fearful manner could be habits. What came up for me personally is my habit of sometimes looking at my relationship and problems in my relationship that that's the way it is. Things are never going to change. He is never going to change. That one statement alone has so much wrong with it. But it is something that when I look at it as a habit of the way I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, okay. Now I can acknowledge it's a habit. And what do? Once you acknowledge it, you have to acknowledge a habit before you can break it, isn't it? So I'm just going to break that habit now and know that when that thought crosses my mind, I'm just going to have an affirmative thought that I live in this wonderful world and my relationships are perfect at that time for me. And just look at it that way. As you can tell, I need a little more work around that, but anyway. So I guess it's also a way of whether we see the glass half full or half empty. How much of that is a fear? How much of that is just a habit of the way we think? And can we change that? So I'd like you guys to take a look at where you might have a habit of, of fear, of maybe doubt, of angst, and just talk a little bit about that to me. Okay. In this chapter also, there's a paragraph, perfect love cast out fear, a sentence, perfect love cast out fear. So Jesus taught love of God as the first commandments and love of neighbor as the second. There was no need for any other commandments. These two round out the law. Then the one and only effective remedy for fear and its ills is love. Interesting. So if we put love around our thoughts, that would be a remedy for having fear. And one of the things about fear too is when we put, which is a form of love, gratitude, when we put gratitude around anything, you can't be in a space of fear and a space of gratitude at the same time. And so anytime that you can't quite seem to get out of that fear state, put gratitude around it. And an example might be, let's say that you got a diagnosis, or someone else got a diagnosis of health, and they wanted you to pray with them. So where you might go here is where are they grateful? What are they grateful for about their body? Their breathing, their heart is beating, whatever areas that we can go into and be grateful for. And sometimes when we are in a state of fear, we have to use denials. A denial around health might be, I give no power over this diagnosis. I give no power because I know the truth, that I'm whole and healthy. And I'm grateful for my cells moving, my blood moving in perfect order. I'm grateful for all the parts of my body that are working smoothly. So that might be what you look at when you're in a state of fear or a doubt or that kind of thing. The next chapter, and these are very small chapters, like 3 to 4 pages, is called The Unreality of Error. And there's a chapter from Job, and there's a quote from Job from this chapter. And the quote is, there is a spirit in woman, and the breath of the Almighty give them understanding. There is a spirit in woman, and the breath of the Almighty gives them understanding. So, my knowing the truth of the universe I live in and who I am reveals the unreality of sickness and the reality of health. Because there is no sickness in the divine being that I am and in the divine world that I live in. I am radiant with the understanding that abiding health is my divine inheritance. It's your inheritance, okay? And then the second quote here is, my understanding of the omnipresence of elemental substance opens the door to a continuous inflow of superabundance into my mind and affairs. My understanding of the omnipresence of elemental substance opens the door to a continuous inflow of superabundance into my mind and affairs. So our understanding of truth allows us to know that we live in health and we live in abundance. And that's so incredible when we can truly realize it at the very core of our belief system. And that is truly what prayer is just allowing our own consciousness to know these truths, and know the truths. So that's the unreality of error. I'd like you guys to read that chapter also. And then the last chapter from, oh, my brain just went blank. Talks on Truth, not Talks on Truth, I always say that. From Teach Us to Pray. The last chapter on Teach Us to Pray that we're going to read is Prayer and Faith. And Jesus always had faith in his prayers. Jesus always had faith. His prayers were brought into the physical reality. Okay? That is a line from the chapter. And how many of you have a hard time with the word faith? I always feel like the word faith is sort of like saying, I need to be forced to believe this. I need to be forced. And I don't think that's what faith is, especially after I read this chapter, because I like the definition that they have about faith. Their definition is all spiritual metaphysicians agree that faith is an apprehension by man of a mind power that connects matter and spirit. Now, that's an interesting line when you take it first glance, isn't it? Because when you think of apprehension, okay, I mean, that's sort of like fearful, isn't it? And so I actually looked that up because I was like, And one of the meanings of apprehension is anxiety or fear that something bad or unpleasant will happen. And I knew that's not what the sentence was saying. And the other definition, though, of apprehension is understanding or grasp. Understanding or grasp. So if we take that sentence again and we say, all spiritual metaphysicians agree that faith is a grasp by man of a mind power that connects matter and spirit. All spiritual metaphysicians agree that faith is a grasp by man of a mind power that connects matter and spirit. So what it's saying is when we have faith, we understand the divine power that connects matter and spirit. And we are one with that divine power. Okay? And so you are actually, when you pray, you're changing the spiritual, the substance, into matter. Okay? So we're changing it and bringing it into our five senses. Now, sometimes it doesn't happen in the timing that we expect it to, but it does happen because we live in a world where the universe, God, divine nature is always good, and we are one with that goodness. And then the last thing I want to talk about here is, in this chapter, it talks about prayer being cumulative. And so the quote is, or the chapter says, we must know first that prayer is cumulative, that the more we pray, the more we accumulate of the powerful spiritual energy which transforms invisible ideas into visible things. Paul says, pray without ceasing. Do not supplicate and beg God to give you what you need, but realize, affirm, and absolutely know that your supreme mind is functioning right now in God mind itself, and that your thought substance and the spiritual substance of the Most High are amalgamated and blended into one perfect whole that is now being made manifest in the very thing you are asking for. Wow. That's powerful. That is powerful. I personally believe that the more I pray, the more that energy unfolds in me, my divine powers, allowing the invisible to become visible. I see my prayers being expressed in human manifestation faster as I grow spiritually. And again, I want to use the word expressed or unfolded or revealed, because it is already here. We're just unfolding it. We're revealing it in the earthly form, in matter. Okay? So anyway, the other thing for this week, I'm going to ask that you guys do is read as many chapters as you want to of the book. Let me find it real quick. Let's see here. Let's see it for a second. Okay. Nope, that's not it. Well, I'm going to put it in your lesson notes. Okay, so you'll find it there. All right. Sorry about that. Everyone, I look forward to seeing your notes and your discussions. And everyone have a really, I know you will, have a blessed week at the start of this wonderful new year. Blessings. Namaste.